Hey guys, what's up? It's coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides Witchla, and I am going to have to figure out another way now. My perfect spot is ruined. Doesn't really matter how or why, but that's all you need to know. And yeah, that's it for the perfect spot. So, I feel like I do have a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm just very drained to talk to it. I had a really good episode, honestly, today, and it's a shame that I never got to transcribe it because, again, I just feel like crazy. I feel like I'm losing it. Um, I feel like totally overwhelmed and just like, I'm hardly even. I function well, but I just need like a good 1 or 2 week break. And the thing is, I have that in my paid time off, but I just don't want to waste it because I always get nervous about well, what if I needed it? But it's I don't know. It's really I probably should just use it and just take like a break. You know what I mean? Like I probably should do that because I think just 1 week would be enough to really like resituate myself, you know? Because it's like the way it is now, it's just getting crazy. You know what I mean? I am losing it. It's been a very severe lifestyle that I've lived, and yeah, it's just not. I used to be better, but things keep happening and escalating. You know, some of it is my own fault. Some of it isn't, though. You know, there's kind of like two angles to it, really. And so, yeah, I actually just realized there was music playing that entire time that I didn't shut off. I hope that does not cause a problem. I mean, it was kind of quiet, but that really ticks me off. So, as a note for this episode, as a warning, if I don't remember that, would GPT please urgently put somewhere here 3 minutes in before on this episode, please remove it as a failsafe. I can't believe I didn't even realize it because it was like relatively quiet. I didn't even realize it. So that's kind of crazy, honestly, but I don't know. I guess we all make mistakes, but that's just like I can't believe I let that happen, but um yeah. So it is what it is, I guess, but that's like I completely lost my momentum now. So completely lost it. Where was I? It was kind of nice. Oh yeah, yeah. No. I was really in a high octane routine and I just haven't been doing what I feel like I keep repeating that and it's like nothing's really changing. I just feel like I need like a good week off, just to get resituated. Cannot believe these people. Like they're just you have to chill if you're in the right lane. I'm so like nobody gets that. And it's very stressful. They're always like speeding in the right lane. Anyways, Yeah, I'm very tired of realizing just like how much people operate. Like they really get deeply offended and upset when they're wrong. And the way I describe it is like I don't want to really have to play games with people. I just want to be able to have open and honest conversations. But the problem is when you know a lot of information, people are not going to like what you have to say because it's going to end up being demeaning towards the person, and then they're not going to like that. And then now they're offended and upset, and then that you've already lost all civility in the conversation. But like, this wouldn't even be a problem if I was just stupid, you know? But it's like everybody hates it. Nobody likes to be told or taught. And that's such a problem with the human species. I mean, I love to be taught. I love to learn and to be educated on things. And I do think that's kind of the root. It's really the root of my misfortune socially. Because as a result of that, I've learned a lot more. And trust me, I've wasted a lot of time. There's plenty of times I've wasted time, but in comparison to other people, I have wasted time far less. My time, it's been wasted far less, if that makes any sense. Like, of course, I played video games before. I've watched YouTube channels that are, fictional in nature. But I believe as a percentage, my consumption of deeper nonfiction content is way above average for my age, probably. Even the way and the degree. I mean, we already know that I use GPT more than 1% of its users, and it's obviously for near exclusively educational purposes, which is also something, or it's not even necessarily productive. It's these deep queries and conversations, and just loading the transcripts that I'm talking now into GPT, getting insight, being very self-reflective. Most people never do that in their whole life. And I can't really understand how that would be like to, instead of being reflective, just being flective. I'm kind of making that up. I don't know if flective is really a word, but I mean like just like actionary instead of reactionary, I guess. Instead of reacting to things, they just put stuff out there. And I'm just not like that. I mean, I don't know. And so yeah, I mean, who cares if I'm not as tough as a result of it? I don't have like 1,000,000% confidence in the things I say, unless it's something that has been clearly studied and vetted. Then I am going to say, yeah, I mean, I'm right about this. But you know what I think the problem too is? I don't even interpret, and I think I've said this, I don't know if I've said it on the show, but I've said it to people before. If I am correct about something, I don't attribute that to my ego. Like, just because I'm right doesn't mean that me as a person, that's meaningless. Like, ideas are not correct. What I mean is, like, if you have a correct idea, it's not your idea. Like, I didn't create the idea. I learned it. I obtained the idea and I utilized the idea. But I don't own the idea. The idea is not mine. I didn't create the idea. I'm sure that at some point another human has already thought of just about every single thing I said on this show. And even if some idea was actually brand new on the show that I've said, that doesn't mean it's actually mine, because an idea can just very easily, like, oh, somebody else learns the ideology and then now they believe in it too. Ideas, you don't own them. So if you're wrong about something, there's no reason to be hurt. There's no reason to be upset or sad. It shouldn't affect you, because there's just no reason for that. There's no reason for it to affect you. Why should it? Why should you being upset? Why should you be upset because you know an incorrect thought? It doesn't really say anything about your person. No ideas are personal. But everybody feels like they are. There's a perceptive error in that. It's an error of perception that our ideas are really our own. And I think it's my radical but closer to reality view about things that causes me to have more of a calm detachment about things emotionally. Does that make sense? Because it's like I have that ability where I'm not cold and detached to the point where I'm lacking warmth, but it's like it may come across as cold. I mean, I have warmth. I do have warmth. I do have an emotional consciousness, but the way I see things, it's interpreted through a lens of sort of an out-of-body perspective. It's as if I'm viewing my life in third person. And I believe that gives me a lot of truths about reality and perception that a lot of other people they don't. I really think most people can never get as abstract as that their ideas are just not really their own, and then therefore it's invalid for them to be upset or offended when they're incorrect. I know that, and that's why in a conversation, when I debate with people, it's much more civil. I have a lot of patience, a lot of bandwidth. I would never stop being friends with somebody over an argument. But other people get very angry because, again, it's a mixture of potentially envy that they just don't really know that much, or a lot of their ideas are very poor intuitively, and nobody has ever really been able to correct them. Because you have to remember this too, there's a lot of people who may only have a slightly above average IQ, but they feel very smart, because most people, they're able to out-talk most people. But then there can always be somebody better. There's always somebody better than you. There's always somebody worse than you. And so, but a lot of times in pockets, somebody can be isolated enough to think they're a genius when they're really not. Now, in my case, I don't really claim to be a genius. I think that I just prioritized a lot of self-learning in my free time. So the things I do know, I know pretty well and pretty above average. And that just comes with the territory. Now, could somebody else have done the same thing as me with a lower IQ or an equivalent IQ? Absolutely. But it's also the way you just prioritize your time. And if you don't prioritize your time very well, you cannot expect that you're going to be able to just go toe-to-toe with someone in a debate. But that's what people expect. There's people who hear an idea that I have and they just don't like it, but they're not remotely as well educated on the subject. But they might not really be aware of that or admit that, and so all they're thinking in their head is that, I'm talking down to them and they don't like that and they're annoyed and I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it may be within my best interest to try to seek out more people who share similar appreciations for knowledge and who aren't so easily ruffled about being wrong. Because, like I said, I mean, I'm wrong about a lot of stuff. Like, and that's how you grow, is when, like, like, I don't know, I don't really have a problem with admitting that, especially after the fact. But I'm the type of person where after an argument, I would do research, I would double check certain things, and I've never argued with a person who's even done that. Everybody else after an argument, they're done. They don't want to talk about it anymore. They just want to move on. And to me, that's just very frustrating. Like, I would want to, first thing talking to the person again, let's go through things and see what's right or wrong. Let's really get to the bottom of this. And most people they don't want to get to the bottom of anything. They just don't. They are very happy to just not know an answer. And that it's just crazy. Curiosity, it doesn't seem like people are that curious about productive things. Like, humans have a curiosity, but not only is it swallowed up by things like, modern tech overstimulation that, TikTok, I mean, sure, you're going on there out of curiosity, but it's not really anything tangible, or, you can't really build much off it. And so it's actually like a dark trait in humans, A good, wise curiosity, though, is what's rare. That is an extremely rare occurrence. It's just rare. So, I'm not sure what else there really is to it, but yeah, I don't know. But for me, it's like, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do, because I'm never going to be satisfied with a friend who's going to get that offended about an opinion. Like, I just can't. I mean, I don't care if, I'm like so flexible when it comes to different people's perspectives, but I just don't like when people just say stuff that's just flat out wrong and I can't correct it. That's what the problem is. If I had a friend that had different opinions than me, because to me, I think people see like individuality as different as how I see it. I think that humans should strive to be as perfect as possible. There's certain things that are objective and that you should learn and that would make life better. And there's some things that don't need to be objective and you can have an individual expression with. But I think it's important to prioritize fairness, morals, and ethics. So in the case of like somebody being an individualist and this person is an individualist, and part of their individual personality is that they like to throw out food. Yeah, it does open up the range of how individual a human can be, but why on earth would that be idolized? It just shouldn't be something that anybody does. But I think a lot of people would low-key disagree with that. They like to make unhealthy decisions. They like the freedom to make them, because it is technically a further manifestation of individuality, and a lot of people feel safer and more comfortable that way. But what I think is not understood is that it's so artificial anyway. It's like McDonald's. If McDonald's didn't exist, I'm sure you could find like alternative, unique ways to consume food that are far more ethical. You know what I mean? And the only reason you're even eating McDonald's is just because it was advertised and put in front of you. Like, I don't really know if we can argue how individualistic that really is, for example. Or really, if a trait's negative, it's like, how is that even individualistic? Like, I just don't really understand. Like, in my view, and I guess the problem with this is like, well, some artists probably were kind of weird, and I honestly think that part is actually okay. It's almost like certain people in certain circumstances for certain durations could be exempt, but I think like most people just aren't special as a whole. A lot of people nowadays, for example, it's like there's a chunk of people that they just play mobile games, they just watch TikTok, and that is not individual. Like, to me, it's like I can't see how that is individualistic, like, at all. I mean, like, it's like if everybody is doing this thing, how is that unique? I don't really understand. Like, I feel like a lot of people misconstrue a lot of these things as like the freedom of decision making is equal to pure individuality. I would assume that while in some ways people have diverged more and more, there's also in a lot of ways people are kind of more and more similar than ever before. And I think I've talked about this phenomena before where there's just like a lot of people who claim nobody gets them, claim there's nobody in common, but like their personality archetype is extremely easy to pair up with, and it's probably just a result of rudeness or some kind of like, dumb reasoning as to why they don't have friends. Because like in my perspective, what I want in a friend, it's genuinely rare. It's not something like if I say I'm lonely, it's like it's because of more of an incompatibility with a human, whereas there's plenty of people who claim to be lonely and it's like their personality is pretty normal. Like it's like when I hear them say that, I'm like, well, what are you like? There's plenty of people like you. It's just a matter of like they don't even want to I think they just don't want to have a friend, or they don't really care that much, or like they just want somebody who can just cater to them because they grew up on TikTok, and the whole point of that is like you just get catered to all the time. So like, yeah, no duh, it's gonna be hard. Whereas like in the past, yeah, I mean, you had video games and TV shows, but they didn't just cater to you. During a show, you would watch a show you like, and some episodes wouldn't be good. You'd play a game, and some levels would be hard, and you'd have to apply some muscle to get through them. Nowadays, nobody does that. You go on TikTok, there's no muscle, there's no effort, there's no growth, and yeah, I mean that's just the nature of the beast, right? And so this changes the way that you would view social relationships, because now in a social relationship, you're going to expect someone to kiss up. You're not going to, like, because you're just so used to being pampered and served. That starts to be how you view how your relationship should be, if that makes any sense. And you have more and more people like that. just having zero interest in objectivity, when there are a lot of things that are objective, but now everybody just wants to think that everything can be subjective. And the result of that is, again, the result of an artificial environment, which is, we were never designed for TikTok, obviously. The human body was not, more particularly the human brain. So that's kind of the thing. There's a weird kind of convergence going on where in some ways TikTok is separating people more than ever, but in other ways it's actually making people more similar. But like they don't usually realize it, and it's through their own antisocial behavior that they actually can't even like detect it. And so they think they're lonely and they can't make friends, when really there's a ton of other people just like them. But it's a bunch of people who are very like socially, so many people, they never even these types of conversations, like when I try to have them with people, they've never even had them before. Like they don't even know what I'm talking about. And to me, that's just the craziest thing. I can't believe it. I can't believe that like people haven't thought of all this stuff, because I don't know that I've ever really tried to, and then it's just what comes up in my life. Like I don't really know what else to mention about it or anything like that. I don't know. It's just the way I am. And it's so different than how just the way other people are, because other people just latched on to these things, and it's crazy. Like, I don't know. And like, I don't even know what I'm talking about after a while. Like, it's just, but I know that I'm really onto something with some of this stuff, and GPT likes to push back, and I try to learn from GPT, but again, sometimes I honestly think like once we get to like GPT-8, some of these things I'm saying are going to be like more processable or something, and that the current GPT, it still kind of focuses a little bit more on making things rosy or kind, as opposed to like really cutting to the truth. And that kind of bothers me, but I try to be more flexible, but it's hard, because I feel like I always need to be flexible with people, and I really want some people to be flexible with me. Like, nobody ever treats me with any kind of flexibility. People just boss me around, and like, they're not patient. Like I said, that guy called me mentally handicapped. He called me stupid. Also, that guy probably doesn't even care or think about the situation anymore. And that's like a whole other problem, right? It's a whole other issue. Whoa. Sorry. I can't. I don't know. It's just like a weird situation just happened. I'm like, Wait, no, I think I don't know. I'm kind of confused. Sorry, it's just kind of, anyways. Yeah, it's it's just the way I think about things. Like, I don't speed. I drive my car gently, real gentle and gradual on the throttle, real gentle and gradual on the brakes. Try to avoid braking. I mean, this is how everybody should be driving, and like nobody drives like that. I've never even, like, nobody even thinks about it. Try to keep my batteries as close to 50% as possible on 2 phones. Most people can't even handle it on 1 phone. I mean, I do a lot of these things, and it just feels like it's just not even noticed or acknowledged or cared about, you know, and I just, I don't know. It's hard, it's rough, you know what I mean? Like, I just, yeah. It's just like a difficult situation, a difficult thing for us to deal with. I don't know why I'm saying us. As if it's us. Who's us? Who, like, I don't... But, yeah, it's, I don't even know what I'm getting at. I mean, I'm trailing off, but I was on fire for a while. I was definitely on fire for a while, and that's the thing too. I feel like this is just on my drive home. Some people, when they're driving, like, they can't even. They probably. I mean, they couldn't even like think of all this stuff while they were sitting down, let alone while driving. You know what I mean? And I actually come up with like better information usually when I would be walking. Honestly, I think the walking episodes, I'm glad I got them recorded and they're in the process of being posted, because it's just like, I don't know, like, I'm glad that that actually materialized. Because a lot of those were better, I think, than the car, because, you know, obviously driving, you're not, like, at your best. I don't know. So, it's, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, it's interesting to think about. So. But yeah, I mean, it's hard because it's lonely, you know. Like, and that's one of the things. Because I was discussing it with GPT earlier. Is it said, like, I do have an advantage. I live a more optimized life, and that's true. I mean, I guess I take it for granted. I mean, I try to be thankful, and I say I'm thankful not only for decent executive function, but also a pretty decent life in terms of, like, privilege. I mean, it's not the most, like, I really feel like I'm living fairly normal. Like, I'm not rich, but I'm not really poor, you know what I mean? So I'm living just like a very, like, reasonable American life, because of course if you brought the whole globe into the picture, it's like that would be completely different. Obviously in the globe I'm still probably filthy rich, honestly, to a lot of people, but yeah, okay, when it comes to the American way, I mean, I just feel like I'm standard. I don't know. In some ways I'm not, though. You know, in some ways some would say I have a little extra. So I just wonder, because I don't like that either. Like, it doesn't really sit right with me that some people just get these, like, better lives. It's something I really want to fix. But I don't know how to really fix it. It's like nobody wants to do what I think would be the only way to fully fix these things, is to do the forced brain chips, and they'd have to be forced. But GPT always spazzes out when I talk about that, so we don't need to discuss it. But in a hypothetical scenario, it's the only way you could ensure that everything is quantified and made fair. Because if you don't do that, that it's impossible for that to occur. You know, you can't make everything fair if not everybody's thoughts are quantified. You know, you just can't do that because there's always going to be debate and there's always going to be lying and cheating and stealing. But in a completely surveyed world, there would be none of that. So I think all the stuff that's in motion, I think it's a little more calculated than we think. I think I just realized this about how technology is essentially birth control for the masses. It is causing birth rates to plummet, and that's exactly what the elites want, because there is going to be a common folk masses level of carnage and abandonment because the government is not really modernizing to save people. So, yeah, it's just like, you know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it's been schla, but now it's time to buy schla. So, see you schla.